This will help everybody connect all the dots of what's going on in the United States of America. The USMCA trade agreement, the North American Union, the Article 5 Convention, red flag laws connecting the dots. Globalists have long been in the process of setting up a dictatorial and totalitarian oligarchy over the United States. They are now putting last pieces in place. That is what's behind the push for the USMCA trade agreement, an Article 5 Convention, and the red flag and other laws to disarm the American people. The globalists want to move the United States into the North American Union. The USMCA trade agreement is in reality a transfer of sovereignty agreement. It provides for the economic and financial integration of Canada, the United States, and Mexico. In addition to putting the three countries under global regulation of a host of other issues such as patents, environmental regulations, labor, immigration policy, prohibiting of discriminatory practices, respecting sexual preferences, and gender identity in the workplace. I'll zoom in just a little bit more. I'll put a link when I'm done with this so you guys can go read this yourself. I really put a lot of stock and stuff behind this woman. She's a lawyer. She knows the Constitution better than I ever will. Go check this out. She's got a lot of information on here. So anyway, let's see. Prohibiting of discriminatory practices, respecting sexual preference and gender identity in the workplace. It puts an international monetary fund in control of our economy and binds us to submit to an international monetary system which is to be administered and enforced, at least initially, by the IMF, and it will replace the collapsing Federal Reserve System. Every word, clause, sentence, paragraph, page, chapter, and appendix of the USMCA trade agreement is in blind violation of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. The North American Union brings about the political integration of Canada, the United States, and Mexico. The Task Force Report on Building North American Community, sponsored by the Council on Foreign Relations, provides, among other things, for these horrors. Increasing the cooperation, interoperation among and between the law enforcement agencies and military. The report also indicates that the plan is to combine the function of the law enforcement and the militaries of the three countries so as to create a militarized police force consisting of Canadian, Mexicans, and Americans. A North American Advisory Council with members appointed by Canada, the United States, and Mexico they'll be staggered in a multi-year term to provide a public voice for North America, and the North American Inter-Parliamentary Group, which will have a bilateral meetings over every year, and a tri-national interplanetary group to meet in the altering years. To merge the function of our police and military and to combine it with Canada and Mexico and to permit a parliament to be set up over this United States, it's altogether repugnant to our existing Constitution. But this is what the globalists and the political elite of both parties want. Before they can impose it on us, they need to get a new Constitution for the United States. That's why they're pushing for an Article 5 Convention. And the purpose of that Article 5 Convention is to get a new Constitution for this country, which legalizes the USMCA trade agreement and transforms the United States from a sovereign nation into a member state of the North American Union. But Americans don't want another constitution. They don't want to be moved into the North American Union. So, some of these pushing for the Article 5 Convention, such as the Convention of States Projects, are marketing a convention to appeal to conservatives. The Convention of States and their allies, such as Mark Levin, claim to be for limited government, and they say they want a convention to get amendments to limit the power and jurisdiction of the federal government. Sadly, those that do not know the Constitution already, the Constitution already limits the power and jurisdiction of the federal government to a tiny handful of enumerated powers. But those who are pushing for the Article 4 convention, certainly those financing to push the convention, actually do intend to limit the power and jurisdiction of the federal government, and they tend to do it by transferring the powers of the Constitution delegates that were delegated to the federal government, plus the powers reserved to the states, into a global government which they are setting up over us. Red flag laws. When Americans finally see what's done, they have been deceived, they will be angry. That's why they must be disarmed now. But all federal gun control laws in this country at large are unconstitutional, as outside the scope of powers granted to Congress, as in violation of Article 1, Section 8, Clauses 15 and 16, as a violation of the Second Amendment. And any pretend state law which contradicts the state constitution or interferes with Congress's power to organize and arm and discipline a militia is also unconstitutional. Red flag laws also violate the privileges and immunities clauses of Article 4, Section 2, the Due Process Clause of the Fifth Amendment, and Section 1 of the 14th Amendment. U.S. Senator Mark Rubio in Florida, his malignant red flag law appropriates a total of $100 million to pay the states and the Indian tribes to pass this red flag legislation. And Trump says, respecting red flags, take the guns first, go through due process. So, while the Trump administration hammers the globalist nails into our coffin, is trusting, supporting, censor criticism of the USMCA trade agreement, even though the agreement is so long and incorporates so many agreements, it's unlikely that any of them, including Trump, have read it. So, they want to pay the globalists, and they've convinced constitutionally illiterate Americans that the solution to all of our problems is to get an Article 5 convention. Mexico's culture is notoriously criminal. If we permit globalists to get an Article 5 convention and a new constitution moves the United States into the North American Union, you can expect to see militarized Mexican police operating within our former country. And soon they will be wearing blue helmets. Okay, people, I'm going to put a link to this. You go read this yourself. I'm already into 8 minutes. This is connecting the dots. You see where this is going? Thanks for watching.